Happy Friday and welcome to the Visibility Today Virtual Summit. We're so thrilled to have you with us today. Our expert panelists are the authors of the dynamic and powerful book, Visibility Today. Stay tuned to discover how to be seen, heard, and shine. So without further ado, it's my honor and privilege to introduce our summit host, Rebecca Hall Grutyer. She's the CEO of RHG Media Productions and the founder of Your Purpose Driven Practice, a global influencer, a #1 international best-selling author, publisher that's helped over 900 authors become bestsellers, a radio show host, an empowerment leader, and the creator of the powerful Speaker Talent Search. Rebecca has personally contributed to 40 plus published books, multiple magazines, and has been quoted in major media such as the Huffington Post, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and Thrive Global. Today and every day, she wants you to shine. So take it away, Rebecca.
Thank you, Misty. I so appreciate that beautiful introduction. Very excited to come and join all of you live as we come together to talk about visibility. Now, this is a subject I find there are so many myths about or misunderstandings, and so I'm very excited to come together with you to explore, learn from experts, and really see how we can help you dial up your visibility. So I'm going to encourage you to take notes as we go through our information today and be listening for one, two, maybe three or more tips, something you can apply today, real time, to help you start to increase your visibility. Now, here is something I have learned about visibility. Some of you know my story, some of you are meeting me for the first time. And Misty read some beautiful opportunities I've had to be seen and heard and contribute in powerful ways. But it wasn't always like that. I used to actually seek to be invisible. I would hide in the back of the room. I was afraid of being seen and heard. I would actually, if I got up on stage or I was speaking to one or more people at a time, I would shake and my voice would shut down and I would turn purple. I didn't do red, I went right to purple. And my eyes would start watering. So I had this whole physical response to being visible. And a lot of it had to do with trauma and my background where it wasn't safe to be seen and heard. But I carried that forward. And as an adult, where I was safe and I am stepping out in different places, I had this huge heart that I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to touch other people's lives. I wanted them to know how amazing they are, how needed they are in the world. I wanted them to know and see the incredible gift and value they had. And when I looked out in the world, I saw people were still believing lies that they didn't matter, that they weren't needed, or they were the best kept secret. This huge heart to make a difference, like I had. And I wanted to do it through osmosis. I didn't want to have to be vulnerable or visible or get up on a stage or stretch my comfort zone to make a difference, to have the impact I wanted to have or that I wanted to see. Not even that it had to be me, but I wanted to see that positive change in the world. And here's what I learned: visibility wasn't about me, it was about the people who needed my message the most. And if I had something that I could say, or I could share, or I could bring to the table that could make a difference, that could touch a life in a positive way, then I was responsible for sharing it. I had to be willing to be stretched, to be uncomfortable, to step into those new spaces, to stand for the person who needed that message, to be really easy to be found by that person. That was my responsibility. And as I did that, as I was willing to be seen on higher levels, I was able to see ripples be created in powerful and positive ways. I could see light bulbs going on. I could see people being more courageous and being willing to share a little bit more. And that's how we make a positive difference. It's not wishing and hoping, it's taking that action of being willing to be seen on a higher level. And you're being really easy to find by those people who need you most. And then it's their choice if they lean in, if they receive the message. But our responsibility is to give them the opportunity to make that choice, to give them the opportunity to know, to share what we've been given to share. Because if they cannot see you, if they cannot hear you, you cannot help them. So today, my encouragement and my challenge to you is to be willing to choose to be visible. There's not a fairy godmother that magically has a wand and makes that happen. You're the fairy godmother. You're the one that gets to step forward. And the other part of visibility that's important is, yes, it is stepping forward, it is being seen. And today's world, there's so many platforms, so many opportunities that you can lean in to be seen, which is beautiful. You also need to find balance in that and stay rooted and be encouraged. And so we have a nice range of beautiful experts that are going to be sharing both from that being perspective as well as from that strategy, tips, ways you can step forward powerfully and beautifully, because you really need both parts. And this summit, for those of you who aren't familiar with the book, and you can see it in my whoops other side of the background here, Visibility Today. This is a #1 international best-selling book that we recently released just in August. We brought that forward to the world, and it was received really well. We're so honored that it became a #1 international best-selling book. And in this book, we have tips, tools, chapters to support you, encourage you, stretch you a little bit in the area of visibility. And in the back of the book, we also have a section of inspirations, quotes that have inspired us, encouraged us, because we all need that every step of the way to be inspired, to be encouraged. So remember that balance of supporting you as you're stepping forward and supporting others in all that you do by choosing to be more visible, because it is a choice. So today, as we go through our time together, have that paper and pen ready. Be leaning into those aha moments, or wow, I never thought of that, or that's a step I can take. And what I have discovered is every step that you take, baby steps count, absolutely, they add up, will help you continue to step forward and move in new directions. And every step you take prepares you for the next. And you can trust that. You don't have to know all the way down the path where you're going, but you just keep taking steps and trust that they will guide you on your path. They will give you that opportunity to reach more hearts, more lives, and make that difference that you are called to make, that you have deep within your heart, that you're being called to bring forward. It is so needed in the world. You are so needed in the world. So, as we just take a moment to drink that in, breathe, I want us to pause. Let's pause, feel into our heart. You notice I left my hands on my heart. I feel like it's important that we, especially when we talk about visibility, because it can be a little bit charged, that we center and breathe. In fact, if you close your eyes, it helps. When I'm in front of a in-person audience, so often I'll tell them I can see if you don't close your eyes. So pretend I'm looking and close your eyes. You're absolutely safe. And as you notice the beat of your heart, notice the pause in between the beats. And what is it that your heart and that pause is sharing with you, whispering to you? What is important for you to know, or be reminded of, or be open to around visibility? Because there's a reason you're here today. What is it that you need that will encourage and empower and support uniquely who you are? Beautiful. Let's receive that information. Come back into the room, eyes open, fully present, and take a moment and write that down, what it is that you need. And are you willing to receive it? Because you have choice. If you find you pull back a little bit, you're not so sure you're willing to receive that thing that you need, how can you shift it a little bit to be a step that you can take, that you're open to, that you're willing to bring in and receive? Beautiful. Well, I have a couple of thoughts that I pulled together as we're getting ready for today. And there were some quotes that struck me. And one of them is by Rob T. Bennett. And it's, don't be pushed around by fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart. So perhaps it was a dream, a reminder of one that bubbled up for you. And then this is by Tony Robbins. Setting goals is the first step into turning the invisible into the visible. So, what is a first step we can take to change more of what is within us and bring that forward and be even more visible? That's one of the greatest gifts that we can give the world, is being willing to be seen on a higher level and trust the world with more of who you are. That is such a gift. Oh, as we come together, this summit was inspired by the book that I mentioned earlier, Visibility Today. Any of you who are interested in that book and want to dig in and explore some of what you will find, you can find it on Amazon in multiple formats, so you can kind of choose your favorite format. The Audible is currently in the works, so for those of you that's favorite format, it is in the works and will be released by the beginning of the year. So you can watch for that. But right now we have it in Kindle softcover, and you can choose your favorite format there. Oh, anyone who wants that book, I just didn't want it a mystery and you're wondering where to get your copy, that's where. And it is my privilege and honor to introduce our first amazing speaker that we have joining us today. Now, I love Mary. I know that you're going to enjoy meeting her as well. So, Mary Straczynski is an award winning licensed clinician and celebrated somatic empowerment coach, #1 international best-selling author, a compelling speaker, very heart centered. She's hosted over 3 decades of clinical and management experience that she is sharing with us and bringing forward. She's certified in EDMR and EFT, and she really stands for lasting change from the inside out. She's passionate about helping you to achieve all that you are looking to achieve and bring forward. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Mary Straczynski. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. So
Ah,
great to be here.
excited to have you joining us today. And I wanted to start our conversation with why. Why is this work that you do personally so important to you?
Hmm. Well, I really wanted to be involved with this book because of its message. And I have to put a plug in for the book here real quick, just because yeah, I was looking back at it the other day and just saying again to myself how impressed I am with how it came together in terms of all the different ways that you can look at visibility, different angles, I should say. And so I think because of that, people will just get so much from it. Every chapter is different, but all have such actionable strategies at the same time. So I find myself having to reread it a couple times just because there's so much in there. So I really encourage people to do that. But you and I had met, I think it's been actually a year or more
Oh,
at this
wow.
point.
Mm-hmm.
I know. And so I was excited to work with you. But the other reason is because, as you said, Rebecca, I also struggled somewhat with visibility when I was moving from a corporate executive director into entrepreneurship. But I made it to the other side of that. So I wanted to be able to share with people, but also because I work with business leaders and entrepreneurs on shifting subconscious beliefs that might be holding them back. And what's really interesting is that I usually start off with an assessment, and there's about 20 core subconscious beliefs that I work with. However, it still amazes me that the number one subconscious belief that I see is I am invisible. That comes up time and time again. And so you can imagine if you are walking around with this belief that I am invisible, but you don't know that that belief is there, imagine how that would affect your actions and the behaviors that you're willing to take and the interactions that you have with other people. And so I really feel like there's so many people who are not aware of this and that can be something that could be having an impact for them. So I really wanted to get that message out there.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And I'm just sitting here thinking about, wow, if we had that running within us and we're not aware, it can feel like we're sabotaging or not even recognizing opportunities that are there. And so it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy that we keep being invisible, not seen, not heard. And how amazing it is that there are people like you that can help us process and release some of those things so it's not running unconsciously within us that we can really step through. So thank you for the important work that you do.
Yeah, I had this client recently, just to give you an example,
Hmm.
who came to me and she said, my business isn't growing. I really don't know why. I don't think it's a confidence issue. She could rule out what it wasn't, but she
Hmm.
didn't know what was keeping her stuck. And she did find herself self-sabotaging. Every time she had an
Mm,
opportunity,
mm,
she would find a way to not show up, to not make that phone call and reach out, those kind of things. And so she
yep.
came to me and we worked together. And what she found out through remembering something from when she was 3, which she said, I haven't thought of that in, 40 some odd years, but she remembered at the age of 3 having to move in with her aunt. Her family had lost their home. And at the same time, her mother, who'd always been with her, had to leave and go get a job, which, I mean, trauma is interesting because it's different for everybody. It's very subjective. What one person might find traumatic, another person might not.
Hmm.
But for her, this signified a lot of loss. And all of a sudden, as she let the feelings kind of come up, she realized that what was going through her body every time an opportunity came up was, it's okay if I'm not successful because I'm probably just going to lose it all anyways.
Mm,
So powerful. So again, if that's the meaning that the subconscious attached to that event and it locks in, and as you said, this is what we go forward into our adult life with, imagine all the ways in which she would be sabotaging because in her mind, what did it matter? It was not stable, it was not secure.
mm,
And so by continuing to work together and shift that belief, I mean, she's doing fantastic now, and I see her out being visible and bringing forth all this positive energy, and it's so exciting. And so that's the thing, and you said it right. There are all these things that we can do now to shift these beliefs so that we can take advantage of them instead of our brain being trying to keep us safe.
yeah.
It's its
Yeah.
job. It's doing its job. It's keeping us safe. But sometimes that can hold us back. We want to be able to be a little bit more in control of that and use it to our advantage. So I want everyone to know it doesn't have to keep you stuck. It absolutely does not have to.
And I was curious as we're talking here about this, and thank you for sharing that experience that somebody had in that huge shift. How can we maybe recognize, or what are indicators that something like that's going on? Something is sabotaging us a bit, or we say that phrase, or is limiting us in some way that we may not be aware of. How can we recognize, because they're sneaky, that
Well,
that
yeah.
might be going on?
Right. If it's in our subconscious, we
Mhm.
don't know about it. A lot of times, what we're actually hearing is our inner critic. We all have that inner critic that can be, kind of mean sometimes. Uh, but that does tend to be more of our fears, some negative self talk. And in that sense, working with somebody around mindset can be really helpful because, as I said earlier, the brain is trying to keep us safe. So, what happens is with mindset and affirmations, we can do a lot of work around controlling those thoughts. But fear is actually normal. So I hope that's a good thing for people to hear. It is not just them. Most of us as humans, if we are doing something new or stretching out of our comfort zone, it's going to try to click us back into place a little bit because it sees that as unsafe. It doesn't care too much about us wanting a more fulfilling future. So it is normal to have fear, but when you've tried mindset, when you are people come to me and they say, I've done all the things. I've read the books, I've listened to the podcast, I've done the mindset work, I'm doing the affirmations, but yet they have this goal that they're so passionate about, but they're not able to take that next best step. And you mentioned yourself, Rebecca, being able to take action. And so where you still find yourself stuck, that tends to tell me that there's probably something much deeper that is holding you back. And
Mm.
that's what I think is a good time. But also, there are some other things you can do. And in fact, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I have a gift for everyone that I actually think will help them with this process of really tuning into our body and our emotions. We're really conditioned to spend a lot of time up here in our logical, rational brain, but that is not where we're going to find the subconscious thoughts. So, being able to find some stillness and quiet in our lives and getting in touch with the sensations that are going on in our body, well, we can get a lot of signals from our subconscious that way too.
Hmm. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. And it's great things for us to start being aware of and paying attention to. And I love that, fear is normal because I think we sometimes think, "Oh, fear, run away," instead of leaning and going through. It's an emotion, and it's okay to feel it and do things anyway, or to navigate through. So thank you for bringing that up as well. And it looks like we have a question here. So
Hmm.
let me. Oh, interesting. So, can you offer? Oh, and you can see it in the chat box here. So, if
Yes,
you
yeah.
pull that up, let me just read it for those who are listening and may not be able to see it. Can you offer a few tips if someone feels invisible? How do you combat those feelings?
That is a fantastic question. And so, where I start with my clients is there's a lot of modalities that are scientific that have to do with the brain and the body connection. And so, typically, I would start with one of those exercises to see if we can get the subconscious to detach whatever meaning it put to that event and see it as this is not factually true, right? It's not factually true that my client who lost her home, that everything that comes in her future that she will have lost there too, right? So there is a way to almost trick the subconscious into unlocking some of those connections. And if we can do it for one, then often we can get it to unlock any events that came afterwards, which reinforced that belief. So we will typically start off with a technique, but then if I am able to continue working with a client after that, we then begin looking at actions that they can take. And one of those is getting in touch with your why and your passion, getting back in touch with that. And as I said, I had struggled with visibility when I first became an entrepreneur, which really surprised me because in my corporate role, I was very visible and I was the boss of a lot of people and had to do marketing. And but I realized that what was holding me back, it was more of a fear than a subconscious belief. But I left corporate because I was burnt out. And I had done a lot of work on healing. And I realized I was afraid that if I was successful, that meant being burnt out again. And so getting back in touch with my why was I doing this? So, first of all, was that factually true that if I got big, grew, that I would get burnt out again? No, that's not factually true. But also, and you said this in the opening comments, which I just loved, which is that I had to remind myself that I had a message that was very important to me to get out to other people. And by getting back in touch with that motivation for myself, I was able to push through and realize that anytime I self sabotaged, there could be somebody out there that needed my help and they weren't going to get it that day. And I was like, gee, that's a little selfish, Mary, if you think about it like that. And that was enough to spur me through. So getting in touch with your why, but also beginning to make some quality connections with other people. We find that if you feel invisible, we can see this in some of your behaviors and how you interact with your relationships, how you interact with the world and yourself. And one of the things we found is that typically we're really lacking in some quality connections and having a circle of support. Um, Another one is putting you first, which happens to be the name of my chapter in the book. But being able to see that you are here for a reason that surpasses just being there to serve everybody else. That by fueling yourself and staying energized and healthy, you're going to be better able to help other people. But you have to come first. Typically, what we see, and some of this is conditioning as well, especially for women, I think, but going ahead and serving others first all the time without replenishing our own energy just leaves us depleted. And that's exactly how I end up burnt out, actually. So that was a lesson that I had to learn for myself as well. So there is a roadmap. There is a roadmap for things that we can actually take steps forward on that will help us to connect with others, take care of ourselves, and begin to feel like we're actually part of what is happening around us and that we're not invisible. Oh, you're muted.
I was so excited. Thank you. I thank you for sharing that. I think that's so encouraging and helpful for those of us who are feeling invisible and kind of stuck and not sure what to do. And I love your share about how you connected, attached. I feel like it's a false equation sometimes. This equals that. So if I get successful, that equals burnout, and I don't want that again. So being able to shed light on that and kind of disconnect that so that you're able to have success without burnout, and that important lesson of pouring into ourselves too, is really wise advice and good information for all of us today. Thank you for sharing.
And I wish I could say I came up with it all on my own, but I didn't. I mean, I had a coach who pointed out to me that I was playing too small and I had to figure out why. And so remember, if it's subconscious, you are not aware of it. And so even as a therapist myself, I cannot always be objective about myself. And so even I needed somebody who could be more objective to be able to identify that. And so I want people to know it's okay to ask for help. And
Mhm.
especially if entrepreneurship or a business owner can be very isolating, and you need to get a community around you. But sometimes you need a guide to help you through, and that is okay.
Oh, I love that. And how could we ever see ourselves objectively? We're too
Right.
close. We're in the
Yeah.
picture frame.
Yeah.
So it's so wise and important to have that outside perspective and to get support on the way. I think it's a myth out there that you have to do it on your own, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's not
Yep.
true. Let's bust that myth. We
Yes.
can lean in and get support. So thank you for bringing that up. And anyone viewing us today or listening to us today, I want you to pay attention to that. Like bust that myth. It's not true. And
Mhm.
how can you bring support in today for you? Maybe it's reaching out to someone in the book or someone you're going to meet on the summit today. Perhaps it's reaching out to somebody you know, or it's remembering to center and pour into yourself too. What are some things you can do to help you be more who you want to be and how you want to be as you step forward? Oh, I'm very excited to have you share a little bit about the book as well. I know you touched on that for a moment. So I'd love for you to repeat the title of your chapter and
Mhm.
share a little bit about what you hope people discover and learn as they dig into your beautiful chapter.
Sure. So as I said, the title of my chapter is You First, which I just loved because that was a lesson that I did have to learn for myself, as I said. And a lot of times we think that burnout has to do with working too many hours, but what it really is prolonged, huge stress, and you're exhausted physically, mentally, and emotionally. And what I find is very common for people is the depletion of energy tends to come more from trying to be perfect, from procrastinating, from people pleasing. That was my journey, and so it meant a lot to me to share that with other people. But I think a couple of the points in my chapter that are really important. One, I already said, which is being able to generously give to yourself, that's not selfish, it's actually a necessity. I actually recommend to my clients that those things get scheduled into your appointment book and they're just as high priority as your appointments with anybody else, right? And it took for me to realize I had actually lost the vision temporarily in one of my eyes from an inflamed nerve in my brain. That's how stressed I was. And I realized if I kept on like that, I I wouldn't be taking care of anybody. So what good is that? But so in addition to taking care of yourself, we have discovered that the brain has what we call neuroplasticity. And I think that's just one of the most hopeful things to find out, because what it's actually saying is we have these events and the brain does not like blanks. And so it fills in the blanks. And sometimes it does it in a very inaccurate way. If it's when you're a child, it's going to fill it in with a child's brain. So the way things get put together sometimes
Mhm.
are kind of strange. But we've discovered that we have the ability to build new neural pathways in our brain. And in fact, they've discovered that this can be done all the way till the time of your death. So you can be 90 years old and still have the capacity to rewire your brain. And I just think that's so exciting. And I find that so hopeful. So for me, it's really about letting people know that if they're experiencing these challenges with visibility, that one, they are definitely not alone. As I said, I see it come up every day, but also that there are things that you can do about it. And in a lot of ways, your body and mind is actually working the way it's supposed to. So that's a good thing.
Mhm.
It does not necessarily mean that they are deficient in some way, that there is something wrong with them. That is not true at all. And I think people need to hear that because most of the time when they come to me, that is what they're saying to themselves. Why am I the one that can't figure this out. No, you're not the only one. But isn't it exciting to know that we have that ability to form those new pathways in our brain? And the old ones literally can deteriorate. So we are literally rewiring our brain, which means these things that can be so hard right now, over time, can become our brand new autopilot instead of those subconscious beliefs.
Thank you for sharing that. That is very, very helpful. That's another myth that we're busting that
Yes.
we can't learn as well or things as we age physically, but actually we can rewire, we can build new neural pathways. We can, those others will become less strong and it'll
Yes.
get easier over time. So that's very, very helpful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And I know in your book, your chapter, that you have a quote that you have prepared or a mini reading that you've prepared for us today. So I'd love for you to share.
Absolutely. I'd love to. So I did put a quote by myself in there, and the quote says, "Your struggles do not reflect a flaw in your character, but a testament to your humanity. You are not broken. You are beautifully human. When you let go of what drains you and embrace what illuminates you, then you will discover the power to shine brilliantly in every facet of your life."
Mm, beautiful. Thank you.
Yes.
Love that. And I know that some people are leaning in and they're just drinking in all that you are sharing, the wisdom, the new perspective, the encouragement, the, oh, that might be something going on with me. Just really great insights that you shared with us today. I deeply appreciate it. And I wanted people to know, how can they get more connected with you? How can they go deeper? What is the best way to do that for those who are like, I want and need more Mary? How do they do that?
Well, I hope they do reach out to me. I love hearing from people and building new relationships with people. So I'd love to hear from you. And as I said earlier, I do have a free gift for everyone. And it is an activation intuition journal. And so it is to get you a little bit more in touch with your body and what you're feeling and your intuition and hopefully your why. And each day for 7 days, there's some journal prompts, but also an activity to do each day for the 7 days. So they can find that at starcitycoaching.com/visibility. So starcitycoaching.com/visibility. They will find the free gift. And on the thank you page, they will find links to some of my services, the homepage of my website, all my social media, and anything that's convenient for them is fine with me. But it's all there. So I would love to hear from everybody, and definitely if there's more questions too.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And is there one final tip that you have on your mind, on your heart, and your spirit around visibility that's bubbling up that they can start to put into play today?
Yes, be yourself.
Hmm.
Be your authentic self, because I find that, as in the quote, let go of what drains you. And what drains a lot of us is all that work that we're putting into being something that we are not, that
Mm.
doesn't align with us and our values, that actually depletes us of an awful lot of our energy. And when you can be yourself and feel good in your own skin, you are going to find visibility is going to come so much more naturally. It's going to come so much easier. You're going to be excited. You're going to want to do things like this, right? Where you can get out there and spread your message. So be yourself. The people that you're meant to serve are going to find you, and the ones that don't appreciate what you have to offer, I've learned that that is absolutely okay. I've been on a couple workshops and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if this person is for me, right? I mean, sometimes we just click with people,
Hmm.
and that's okay. Their people will find that person, and my people will find me, and yours will find you. So the more you can be your authentic self, the more you're going to find yourself attracting people that really should be a part of your tribe to begin with.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you, Mary. I so appreciate you joining us today and sharing. And for those of you who are just tuning in, we are talking with Mary Struzinski, and she's just shared so many powerful tips and tools and amazing gift that you can lean into to really support you on your journey. Thank you for tuning into the Visibility Today Summit. We are getting ready to take a first break, so we will be back in about 7 minutes to continue the next segment. So take a moment, move around a little bit, and we will be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Excited to have you joining us for the Visibility Today Summit. We are now doing part two. If you missed the first segment, no worries. We will definitely be sharing all of the replays out as we navigate through our beautiful summit today. This summit was inspired by the book Visibility Today, which we released in August, became a #1 international best-selling book. So honored and pleased. You can find it on Amazon. And I'm excited to continue our conversations around visibility. We've already busted some myths out there that are prevalent and given you some great tips and tools of how to perhaps even recognize some of what might be holding you back to being more visible and some of the things that you can do about that. So excited to continue our conversation. And our next amazing expert, Deborah Weiner, actually had urgent matter come up today, and she sent a nice share that she wants us to share on her behalf because she still wanted to be present and give you some great tips and wisdom and insight to support you on your journey. So let me just take a moment to introduce Deborah so you know a little bit about her. And then our amazing Misty on our team who did the introductions is going to share on behalf of Deborah. So Deborah is a #1 international best-selling author. She is an international award-winning speaker and distinguished Toastmaster. She's a columnist for the RHG magazine and has been featured on numerous radio shows, TV shows, podcasts, and internet TV shows. She's a certified Western Feng Shui master and Reiki master. She is the creator of the energetic feng shui system, and she's passionate about helping you align and design your life beautifully, purposely, and really bringing into it all those things that you desire. Please welcome our amazing Misty sharing on behalf of the dynamic and powerful Deborah Weiner. Welcome, Misty.
Thank you. I am honored to represent Deborah and everything that she brings forward. So I'm so honored to do this for her. Deborah Weiner's chapter, Business Magic with the Energetic Feng Shui System, is a deeply personal and transformative story of overcoming childhood trauma and chaos. In her chapter, Deborah shares her journey from feeling invisible and disconnected to discovering her unique ability to read energy and transform her life. Drawing on her experiences, she developed the energetic Feng Shui system, a powerful energy system that blends traditional Feng Shui, quantum physics, human design to create lasting change in life and business. One of the most important insights Deborah shares in how we often absorb the energy of others, leading to stress, anxiety, and disconnection from our own intuition. In the chapter, she discusses the importance of clearing and protecting our energy so we can stay aligned with our true selves. Deborah also emphasizes how aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with the right energetic frequency is key to manifesting success. Whether it's transforming a cluttered workspace into a productive, energetic flow, or using her system to help clients manifest thriving businesses, Deborah's techniques are practical and powerful. And she also does have an ebook offer. And that offer is, if you'd like to dive in deeper into these life-changing principles, Deborah is offering her free book entitled Unlock Your Intuition, 3 Practices to Tune into Your Inner Wisdom. This ebook walks you through 3 actionable practices to help you reconnect with your intuition, clear energetic blocks, and start manifesting the life you desire. You can download the ebook today and begin transforming your energy and intuition right away. Visit www.deborahhweiner.com/ebook to grab your copy and learn more about Deborah's work.
Thank you so much, Misty. Do you mind repeating that link one more time?
I don't. It's www.deborahhweiner.com/ebook. So www.deborahhweiner.com/ebook.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. And for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to meet Deborah, I know when you do, you will love her. And she's very insightful around how energy works and can be such a big part of how we navigate, how we show up in the world, how we hold ourselves, and the success of our business, the flow of our life. And so I really encourage you to lean into that beautiful opportunity to get some great tips to support you on your journey. I know it'll make a big difference as you start to interact with energy and how it's working in your life and how it could be even more aligned to support you in all that you are looking to do and to bring forward. So, Deborah, on behalf of all of us, we send you love and support. And thank you so much for still sharing and being part of our summit today. We're very grateful. I'm excited to bring our next amazing guest on, who some of you know, and some of you are just getting to meet her for the first time. You're going to love her energy and her passion and all the things that she really stands for to help you be more and more visible. And as I'm looking at the different subjects we've been talking about today, I feel like we've looked at some of the inner stuff. We've looked at the energy and things around and flowing through you. And now we're going to be looking at some of how are you showing up in all of that, and what are some of the things that you can do to show up even more. So have that paper and pen ready as I introduce our amazing guest. Maureen Ryan Blake is a #1 international best-selling author and compiler. She has interviewed over 200 best-selling authors and inspirational and influential leaders, especially thought leaders that she's passionate about bringing forward. She has found out in her background. I always think this is interesting about you, Maureen. Her background, and we bonded over this because I have a background in this as well. So she has a background in the Wall Street space and financial realm. And I have a background, I was a financial advisor for lots of years. So I love that we're able to bring that, and that's launched so many of the different things you do. And now you're the founder of a boutique social media firm, and you've been very passionate about leadership and visibility for many, many years now. And Maureen Ryan Blake, in the social media firm, I got excited. Her social media firm is titled Maureen Ryan Blake Media, which specializes in executive interviews and really positioning those leaders in powerful, impactful ways. And she's absolutely passionate about helping you bring your video content production forward powerfully and effectively, that you're really reaching those people that are waiting for you and need to know more about you and all that you're bringing and doing to the world. So let's lean in and warmly welcome the dynamic and inspirational Maureen Ryan Blake. Welcome.
Okay, it is so nice to be here face to face. We're always on the radio show, and this is just so much more intimate. I love it.
Oh.
It's really interesting that as we continue, because we've been working together, I think it's over 6 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the amazing part about being and doing and standing for the work and bringing others forward in their message and the reason why they're here on this planet is that you get to grow and become more of the receiver of the energy of our purpose as you're up leveling others. And it's just the more I'm doing the work, the more it's opening up that I was not as intimate with the result of what your message meant. Meaning that you have a message, we're all here, we're all individuals, like the snow, a snowflake or a drop of water in the ocean, but we're all one. And that was a mantra, and I believed it. I believed it somewhere in here. And then as I'm like stepping into this next place of connectiveness, it's so much more than that. Your message is the reason why you're here. And I know you've heard that, but it's why you're here. It's the connective of the fluidity of why us in the universe. And it's just so much more of, so your message coming out and being and taking that forward is even more in urgency. And so if I was passionate, I'm even more passionate now today.
I love it. I can feel the energy and the conviction. And what an important reminder is that's why you're here. So
Yeah.
it's so important that that message gets out there and that we really stand for that and we share it out. It makes a difference. Every snowflake matters and
Every
brings
snowflake matters.
it does. It brings its intricate design to the mix and creates something beautiful. So, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I love why you do the work that you do. And I'm curious why this project called to you, because I know you have lots of options out there, and yet this is one that you leaned into.
Well, we've been working on it for 2 years now. So it was a yes. So everyone, when it comes to working with Rebecca Hall Grutyer, who I get to have 3 names too, and they look great together. And you get to be powerful carrying 3 names. And but when Rebecca asks you to step forward, say yes. So it's 2 years ago. It was a yes then, it was a yes now, and here we are. A new cover.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm glad it continued to be a yes, and very excited to have spent those 2 years together as we worked on this project to bring it forward. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about your chapter and what it's titled, why this was what you chose to share about, what people can look forward to discovering.
What the chapter is about, and it's morphed. So I don't know what the title is, to be quite honest with you. So I'm going to be very vulnerable here. But the chapter is about standing in your message, and not just and this is where the second part of the conviction comes from. It's not that, okay, you have your message, now what do you do with it? As entrepreneurs, as the economy, as AI, as urgency is upon us, you get to be moved forward with it. You get to be better than when you started. And that's my philosophy with my clients, with my company. And we were acquired. So we are now modern client. But with that is that it gets to be holistic. It gets to be about your business. It gets to be moving you forward. It gets to be all the pieces and having a strategy that's bigger than just a piece. And that's what I'm also passionate about. And that's what the chapter's about. It's about bringing you, saying, hey, read the chapter. And there's no reason to be sitting on that couch, because here's answers to move you forward. So that's why I wrote the chapter.
Beautiful. And you share some of your personal journey and some unique things about you. Do you mind sharing a little bit of that today?
So, and this is another thing too, I think is so crucially powerful. I don't even know those two words go together, but I'm sticking with it, is that when you write, and I'm journaling now, and I know I'm journaling and I'm allowing the thoughts to come through on paper. I was always resistant, except for in anthologies. And your flow, your message, your what's underneath, just ready to come up, comes through in writing. And and in the writing is also the wins and the reflection of your journey, right? And what I had realized was that this is the stuckness that I was deaf for 10 years, a slow death. And I've had 3 ear surgeries and with absolute gratitude. I'm fully restored and probably better, my doctor would say, because that's but when it comes to I admitted that in the book, and it wasn't that I was holding it back. It just didn't come to the surface. And embracing that, and it's part of the journey. And that's the great piece, is that once you step into 100% responsibility, that everything is happening for you, is because of you, is the reason why you're here. That full connective of owning that, it gets to be fun. So what I realized in the book, which thank you, Rebecca, is that I had to go inward to really be able to see outward the way that I do, which is one of my superpowers. And that came out in the book. And but you get to do the work and you get to show up, and the book will get you there.
I love it. Well, and I love that every time you step forward and you're sharing in another chapter, another piece, like you're willing to embrace what's bubbling up, what you're willing to share that. You don't hold back, and I appreciate and admire that about you. You're willing to be vulnerable. You're willing to share the journey with us. And not everybody does that. Sometimes it's we've arrived, and that's how they experience us in one at one point. Not that we've ever arrived. We keep always growing and evolving, but we don't always share the journey. And I appreciate that you're willing to so openly share the journey as we lean into visibility. So thank you
I
for
received
modeling that.
that. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
life is holistic, and that's another little lean in that it's all the quadrants of your life. It's your family, it's your health, it's your business, it's your living in abundance, it's your spirituality. That it all gets to be full, and that when you are living in this place of fullness, of intentional living and intentional connective and creativity, this is the fun place to be.
And you're modeling that fun energy beautifully. I love it. So thank you. And I actually have a comment from one of our viewers I'd love to share.
I love
And
that. You got a
yeah,
comment. All right,
we
let's do
do.
this.
We do. It's the connectivity between your past and your present and your future is unique and inspiring. So they appreciate that about you.
Thank you. I thank you. I'm humble, and I receive that. And thank you for reaching out. Now, what's next for you?
I
And
love
okay,
that.
so can we leave them with, so in the book,
Uh-huh.
what is that? Now the book has brought you forward and something's landed. What's your next step? Write that down.
Beautiful. I love that. And for those of you getting to know Maureen, that will always be the case. There's always a next step, something more that you can do and lean into. So, as we are navigating through today, I know we asked you in the beginning to write things down. So, I hope you are. And you're writing those things that are kind of pulling at you, inviting you forward, that you carve out some time and some steps. And remember, we talked about how baby steps count. They do, I promise. So, what is a step, a simple step that you can take today and then carve out time in your calendar to keep taking steps? And I love the journaling that you're doing, Maureen. And I think that's a great practice for any of us in our journey and with visibility, because visibility doesn't stop. We always get to keep stretching, growing, learning new skills all the time. That happens with visibility and navigating new waters. So always leaning in. And I'd love for you to share if there's a visibility tip that's on your heart or spirit that you want to share with us today, Maureen. I'd love to have you do so.
And I'll go back to the word intentional. That start, but we've already discussed that. That's on the paper, right? So that's why you're here. And I'm grateful that you're here. The piece that I would say is to really look at what lights you up, and look at and then the other column, what you're really great at. What is it that, or you know, that like, I think I'm good at that, because at this stage you don't embrace how great you really are, even though we see it. And then that, look at it as a plan. Look at it as, and the book will give you that. Even my chapter will give you a where to go, and look at it and from, here's where I start. What would it look like a year from now and 5 years from now? And then walk yourself back. And when you stand in really visualizing being it, right? You're already been it. Once it's done, you just got to walk it back. And that's how I do everything.
Beautiful. The end in mind, in a sense. I love that. And then reverse engineering. And I love that way of saying that. You've already been that now. You visualize you've done it. So it's not so scary, right? You've already done it. Now you just roll it back and take the steps. So brilliant. I love that share. And anything else on your heart as we come together, connect, and we're reflecting on our 2-year journey and conversations around visibility that is on your heart and spirit to share today?
Well, I would just say that the work, it's work, and there's no shortcuts. You get through the work. The work is going through all that you've been given, because you know that you can handle it. But when you're working through it, you up level. And when you up level, you get new skills, you get to be open, and it continues open, and it gets to be fun. So, I'm passionate about the work. I was driven, since a very, getting there, but people see your greatness that's waiting even when you don't, and celebrate the wins. Celebrate the wins. That's what I got.
Beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate it. So important. I was working with a client this past week, and they were releasing their book, and it did really, really well. #1 international bestseller, and it just was off the charts success. And the client was celebrating and then going on to the next things. And I remember saying, wait, enjoy, celebrate, savor this. And for so often I have done that as well, that I have moved on to the next thing, check, next thing, and I forget to be in the moment and present and celebrate the wins, celebrate those highlights, share them, stay in that space for a little bit. Don't just rush to the next thing. Allow yourself, as my grandmother would say, to really absorb and process it on a cellular level. Let it become part of you. Integrate, own it before you move to the next thing.
And I would say incorporate that in your life. I'm very aware of the energies and the time in my energies, and when I'm optimal. And I loved how Deborah came in, that you do when you work with people, be aware that where your energy is going, and when you're receiving and when you're pouring out, that you get to have space for recharging, for that creative flow, for that nothingness, to just have the universe connect with you and being.
Yes.
And have fun with it.
Love
Yes.
Rebecca, I was just going to say, we talked about the subconscious during my time, and celebrating your wins goes right along with that, because that actually allows your brain to understand that there can be a different experience, right? So it contributes to that rewiring, those new neural pathways. So, and visualization is also wonderful, because our brain actually doesn't have great time perception when we're visualizing using a lot of our senses. It thinks it's happening. It actually is happening. So again, it's great for rewiring your brain as well. Great tips there. Yeah.
Oh, love it. Love it. Thank you. I appreciate you adding that perspective. So, Maureen, thank you for all your shares, your beautiful energy that you, the fire I can feel that you have brought to us today. And I wanted to give you an opportunity for people who are wanting to connect. They want to know more, they want to go deeper, they want more Maureen in their life. What is the best way for them to do that?
Easy. So right now I'm not promoting anything. Come see the new show. Have a new show. We'll be going live 7 Eastern Standard Time every Friday. It's Live, Learn, Laugh Out Loud. And we do that. I have a partner that I get to bounce energy off of, which makes it so much more fun than doing the solo. But it's a live, so we to that next stretch of really having a live show each week and putting it together in the production. And we are on, we're live on Twitch, but we are on the shorts are on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. Modern Client is the other where we're in, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. So search me. I'm there. But yeah, look it up. But come on the show. So we're going to get a little racy tonight. It's so well. You produce shows, so we're opening up the P. Diddy case. We're going to go in the overlays of time, relation, because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it smart and historical analysis. And we have a guest coming on that works with children traffickers and an advocate for that. And I'm going to keep the train going on the tracks. That's going to be me as the moderator, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So that's on tonight, but every Friday. And we're having a summit in November. So just go come hang out. And there's no excuse. I'm out there.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that and appreciate you sharing. And for those of you who are interested in getting the book, you've gotten a sampling of some of the amazing authors that are in this book, and it covers all different types of areas, from how to keep visibility growing, how to grow your reach, how to be and pour into yourself as you're being visible, how to grow your list if you're looking at being a show host. How do you do that in a really powerful way? How do you keep the momentum going when you release books? So, just a wide range of subjects that you'll find in this book. We put in our best tips called Visibility Today. You'll find it on Amazon. And I hope that today, as you've leaned into our conversation, that you have filled your paper, maybe multiple papers with notes, tips, and things that you can take action on. But now it's your turn.
Yeah.
What action are you going to take? How can you, starting right now, not tomorrow, not someday, starting right now, how can you take a step today, real time, to support you and to be more visible? That's the biggest gift you can give the world, is sharing more of you. So I want to invite you, as we bring our time together, as we close our time together, to carve out a few minutes for you. Because here's the other thing I've learned: you get to be in charge of your day. The day isn't in charge. You get to be in charge. So take these next few moments and decide, here's the action I'm going to take. This is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to take in. And here's the next steps. And maybe it's getting support. Maybe it's exploring this piece. Maybe it's reaching out to one of our amazing guests. Whatever that next step is, take action to support you. You get to be the one that helps you become more visible. You get to take those steps, and the world will be a better place for it. So be willing to lean in, be willing to share the amazing gift of who you are. The world will be richer for it. Be willing to be visible, be seen, and shine. I hope you have an amazing fourth quarter, that you are stepping powerfully into the new year. Whenever you are watching these excerpts, that you are taking action and continuing to move forward in beautiful ways. It's an honor to have you each joining us. If you want to reach out, you can reach me at Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Again, that's Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. And I will love hearing from you, look forward to connecting, and I look forward to seeing you out in the world. Take care, everybody.